All right. Okay. I'm having issues keeping in my limits, so let's set a timer. I don't know why, but I just have a hard time stopping it at 8 minutes. All right. So finances are obviously on my mind, folks. Finances are on my mind. And I have a few thoughts to share about that. I know that this is blinding. I'll switch out. One is this. I think how you come into your family life, if you are a family, or your financial awareness, it depends on some things. Some people are married young, whatever. Some people are independent for a while, and that's more the case for our family. And I think that if you had your own income and you had your own place to live, and and you're spending within your limits, but you're spending your income, it is quite the adjustment to rein that in, or to really figure out which things you can let go. You know what I'm saying? So for us, we were two adults with two jobs and two apartments, and we lived in New York, and within that setting, not too luxurious of a lifestyle, but compared to like a life now with kids and living in a house in a small city, yeah, way vastly different, much more exciting, luxurious lifestyle and spending and all of that. I mean, we went out to dinner all the time, we went out for drinks, whatever. And I think then we got married, and while we lost an income, we were under the impression that if we moved to a smaller city and we weren't going out as much, things would be cheaper, but you just can't compute how expensive kids are and medical bills and all those things that never were a factor before. And so we again were just always living up to our means and not having an extravagant lifestyle, but doing some extravagant things like buying the best of whatever it was for kid. I mean, she did not want for anything and always had the nicest, most top of the line whatever was out there. Although not as top of the line as that family walking that crazy stroller. And at that time we thought we'd only have one kid, so whatever, we had the money to do it. We were able to visit people, and I never had to think twice before I went for a long car trip. Like, of course we could pay for the gas, all that kind of stuff. Gas wasn't as expensive, but the whole thing. We were just living to our means. Well, as life got more complicated and work situations changed and medical situations got more intense, things became slightly more stressful, certainly, and we definitely needed to worry about when we paid our bills or how we were going to get everything paid on time. But that was like worrying about that with having these nicer things. You know what I'm saying? It was different. Was there stress? Yes. But in that frame of mind, we felt like we were, still making smart choices and, not being too extravagant. So it's just very funny to be in this situation now where, really reduced spending, really only buying what we need. Still having some things that other people might think are extravagant, like cell phones, but we still have our TiVo, but that's it. So I just think the whole thing it's just a fascinating turn of events. That we used to have a crazy car payment for our minivan, and we managed to pay that and still go on vacations and do all that stuff, and now, our cars are paid off, we have no car payments, and now we can't afford vacations. It's just like, just one thing after the other, really. What's my point on this? Oh, but my point is this. I don't want to say it's a blessing. It's certainly not times are tough for a lot of people. But I'm happy that it's happened at this point in our lives, at this point in our marriage, at this point in our relationship and understanding about ourselves and each other, that we can do it. Because I don't think we could have gone this low before and not have it had been a blaming situation or a a tense, stressful. This is actually not causing any marital stress, shockingly. And I think hard economic times, that's a reasonable thing to cause marital stress, honestly. I don't even think there's, any reason why it wouldn't. But the fact that we are on a good page with each other and with our life circumstance, this has been an easier process than it might have been. In fact, I can say I probably would have resisted having to give up things if I didn't feel like things were fair, all that kind of stuff. Here's what's going on. I also want to say I don't regret making the decisions we made at that time. Yes, you look back and you think, oh, if only I'd known, we didn't need to spend as much as whatever. We had an enjoyable, happy life, and we had other stresses in our life at those times, and we needed more the external life pleasures. And now I think we are happier as a family, and we have less external stress, so it's a better time to do this. Does that make any sense? I think it does, you know what I'm saying? That we couldn't have done before, and that we needed that other time before. So, yeah, I don't regret any of the trips to Disney World. I don't. I think they were fun. We all remember them. We had fond memories, and we look forward to being able to do it again, and do it again in a way. I don't want to say we didn't appreciate Disney World before, because we did. We were, as many of you know, under incredible stress because of kids' health, and we needed the vacations. We did, and we did appreciate them and enjoy them, and now it's just everything in that way has timed out perfectly. She is healthy, and that while of course there's a stress associated with what will happen, it isn't the same. It isn't the same. I mean, before we were pretty much in, a life and death level of stress for a while, and surgeries and all that stuff. It was, I mean, anyone who has a kid who has issues or health concerns, I mean, you can't even verbalize the amount of stress that is. So I don't regret it, long story short. And I'm happy that this is happening now, when we are in a place where we can handle it, and we're still making conscious choices about which direction to go forward. And if not, I'm just going to say, if not for the, here we go, if not for the tuition, we would be doing okay. It's that we got hit by several things at once. We got hit with the loss of the extra freelance, which would have covered the tuition, and then the potential not getting a bonus, which would have then made it possible to do the tuition. And now we just have to move forward and think about, if you really believe in this education, and if we really come to terms with that's what we really want to provide, then I think we can suck it up and stand by this level of frugality for the time being. If we decide as a family that's not what we want to do, then we'll make a different decision in that regard, and things will be a little bit easier financially. So it's all, we're coming to that point of trying to decide how much of this can we maintain for a long time. Can I not buy stuff? That's not a problem. I mean, that's fine. We have everything we need. But, with the surprising medical bills that have come up from my broken tailbone and suddenly owing $1,000, we do need a little bit more flex room. So we'll have to wiggle that out and figure that out and decide what's important in the big scheme and for how long. But I just wanted to share that other side of things. It's weird. I don't know. Whatever. Perusal. Check, check.